Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. As always, I'm looking forward to spending some lovely crafty time with you. And today I thought I'd make something a little bit different, and I'm going to create this design. And I've got to be honest, it all started, the idea for this, because I do often get asked how my designs come about. And when I was teaching a workshop at Lavinia the other week, I came across some fabulous washi tape. And I mean, look at that. It is just beautiful. And, well, that's how it started. A little tip with washi tape, it often has the name written on the top. And once you've taken the packaging off, well, if you're like me, I can't remember what it's called. So I write it on the inside. It's not easy, but just with a black pen. So this one is Enchanted Forest. And it's just stunning. And literally, the design just came from that. So I hope you're going to join me. Maybe have a look. Have you got washi tape? Have a look on the website. We've got some fabulous ones. There was another one that I bought. And it's this one, look. What's this one called? Magical Botanical Herbology stamps. Now look at that. All these gorgeous little stamps. Now I'm thinking at the corner of your work, a postage stamp, or down the side. And look at all the different. So I'm going to have fun with that. That's my next project, using that. But today, the Enchanted Forest. Wasn't sure how I was going to use it. I thought of a border, but I ended up going for corners. And it just sort of developed. And I love things like this, when you just have a good old play. So that's what we're going to do. And I know you like to know sizes. So this is the A6. It's one from the pack of the A6. But I'm also going to be using, for some mop-up, one of the large watercolour tags. So I'm going to file that on the floor next to Eric. And it was so funny at the workshop the other day. Eric was in the camper van outside. Carl had driven and he helped carry my bags into the workshop, bless him. And it was so funny. Sam, now this is a shout out to fabulous Sam and Lorraine in the shop. They look after the ladies and gentlemen so well when we do the workshops. But Sam, bless her, she called Carl Eric, and it was just hilarious. So, and I said, oh no, I hope it isn't my husband that's under my desk. So anyway, Eric the Black Labrador is here, but shout out when you see Sam in the shop, just say to her about Eric. Honestly, I just love things like that. You know, it just makes the day go so well, doesn't it, when something like that happens? You know, I can't say anything because I'm forever saying the wrong name. I get words mixed up. Anyway, as I'm talking, Lime Punch, we're just going to add a base colour to the card. Now, large stencil brush. If you're not used to blending, Craft Matte's fabulous. It won't slip, look, blend in the lid. But this, we just want to actually get some colour on. So you can go straight from your ink pad and don't worry about marks. We're just getting some colour on. So this is when you don't have to worry about your blending. But oh yes, it's hilarious. I love it when things like that happen. So when Carl came to pick me up because he went off to the campsite with Eric, he called Sam Susan. But then that got in my head and I went, no, don't do that. I said, because the trouble is I'm now going to start calling her Susan and I know she's Sam. Well, you can imagine the pickle we all get him. It's hilarious. Have you ever done anything like that? Or have you ever known somebody that long and then you've forgotten the name and you can't actually ask what the name is? Or again, is that just me? Right, so that was Lime Punch. And we're going off the greens, obviously, that are in the washi tape. So what I thought next is let's add some olive. But I'm going to put the olive. We've got a little bit of green on there. So let's add some olive to our craft mat. And then, just going to move these out the way. I find when I'm spritzing, if there's anything near. So I'm going to spritz that a little bit. But a little tip, just before we do that smooshing, I'm going to come in with one of the Mica Minerals. And this one I've gone for spring green. Now, again, my other top tip, this little almost like semi-lid that covers the top, I glue mine into the lid. So then it stays there for extra protection, but I don't have to get it off each time because I find sometimes that can be a bit of a tinker. Right, little bit of Mica Minerals in there. And this is just to add some, and I'm just going to mix that round a bit to add a little bit of, look at that iridescent. And you use such a tiny bit, but it will just give such a magical glow in the background. And it doesn't always show up on camera, but honestly, when you see what it looks like. Right. So when I've done that, look, I just break the end off and then this lasts longer. Right, so I'm just going to do a little bit of smooshing, look, and just dip. But I've got so much left. Watercolour tag. I'm going to come in, pick that up. Now, I think I've still got some on there. So, I'm really going to pick. And the sparkle, honestly, when it dries. And I'm sure you've got Mica Minerals. You know, do you use them? Now, how many of you saying no? I've bought them, Joe. Don't know what to do with them. Well, just add them. Look at that. Yeah, love that. Right, let's mop this up. And then you just want to heat this before we do the next bit. So just bear with me. If you haven't got your craft tool, use a piece of kitchen roll. But I'm just going to, with the heat it up tool, just take the wettest of this off. And I love this. No two will ever be the same. And again, remember, dry from the back as well. Yep. Happy with that. Now, I want to bring in some pixie green, but I almost want it to be dark around the corners. So I need to come in to there. But I just want to see, can you see that shimmer? You know I'm not good on my camera work, but I really want to. It is funny when I do the shows and workshops and, you know, sometimes crafters say, oh, it looks better in real life. I really need to get better at this camera work. There, look, we've got a little bit there. Can you see that shimmer? Now, if you're doing any underwater cards, you know, using any of the beautiful fish, mermaids, you know, it's a great way of adding, just smooshing that blues and greens and adding some Mica Minerals. I mean, you can stamp with your Versamark, your sticky ink, and put your Mica Minerals on top. And also, when you're just doing any watercolour painting, add a little bit and it gives that lovely shine. Lots of things you can do with them. Also, your red liner tape, you can add them to that. Your gilding flakes, you can add to that as well. So I'm just coming in and I'm just going to do that look all the way around. So it just gives me a nice frame. But also, what that does is gives me some more ink on my mat. I'm going to add some little, put that on there and add some more water specks as well. Actually, I might just add a little bit more water to that. Right, so we'll put that there to dry. And then this, we can smoosh. Now, again, if you've got a journal. But what I'm thinking is this tag is going to be fabulous for Tag Tuesday tomorrow. So I can make myself the tag and just stamp it up when I've finished. Now that I'm going to let dry naturally. Or just let it run a little bit. Right, so that is going to just file over there. We'll clean this bit up. And then let's have a look at this. Again, a little bit of faux bleaching. And your faux bleaching will show up on darker ink more. Now, I don't want it too white. If you don't want it too white, almost dab it up sooner. If you want it white, leave it. Does that make sense? The longer it's almost left, the whiter it'll be. But that, I'm loving that. So I'm just going to give that another little, do bear with me, just another little dry with the heat tool. But I mean, these backgrounds, you know, ladies and gentlemen, you could make so many of them, batch make them. And it's so fun to do. I love this. And I'm not a big fan of green, but it was the washi tape that inspired me. Now I need it to be dry for the stamping and obviously to stick the washi tape. Now, when I made my original look, this was the background tag that I made, and I love how that's turned out. So you see that's ready. You could stamp a fairy, so much branches, even Christmas design. Oh, so I'm going to have two, and when this one dries, and look how different they are. That's a lot darker. I just love it. I really do. Now, because I've added a lot of ink and obviously water and I've dried it, I'm going to bring in my stamp now, will it? Might just have to do this, look. Just so that I find it's an easier way to stamp my main focal point. And the stamp I've gone for is the lovely Flower Divine, and I think this is number 1. Check your stamps dry, and I find it best to position it. And I just want that shape there. See, I'm thinking almost that shape. It's mirrored. Does that make sense with my washi tape? But I'm going to do my stamping first. So I'll pick that up on there. And then I'm just going to ink up, and I'm using the Versafine Clear Black, the Nocturne, just so it stands out well. And this is purely just for my main image, just in case I thought if I use a stamping block and it doesn't stamp perfectly first time, but actually look at that. It's worked really well, so I'd no need to worry. But obviously, me being me, I did. So once I'd stamped this, you know, I looked at it and I thought it needs something here, but not too much. And quite often I get asked what the difference is between the field grass and the orchard grass. So if I move this out and just show you, that's the field grass, that's the orchard grass. And it's just a size of it. I tell everybody that the field grass is the orchard grass's bigger sister. But when I looked at this design, and again, this is where your acetate comes in, I just felt the field grass was too tall. It needed something just scaled back a little bit. So for me, when I'm asked which one do I use most, I actually say both, because it's true. There are times when I need my bigger field grass and times when the orchard grass is the one I'm going to go for. Now, colours, I've gone for Avocado and Shady Lane, or Shady Lady as she's now known. And again, I've gone for those colour tones because I feel it needs something here, but not too much. So I'll start with my lightest colour. And I'm just going to go for 3. I don't want to overcook it. And even though I'm going colour tones, light to dark, I still give my stamp a wipe. So Shady Lady will have 1. And some of this may go behind the washi tape, but that's fine. 2. And we'll just have a 3rd one right in the middle. And then what I find is I've got my main focal point in black, and I've said this before, it almost stands out too much, so I need a little bit of stamping in black down here. Not a lot, but just, I think 2. So if I show you, we've got this design now, and if I just add 1 there, and also it will help with perspective and depth. So if we have two, look, can you see it's obviously that the main focal point goes in, it looks a good cohesive design now, but also we've got depth with those two shades and the black. And I often say it's good to stamp the same stamp in, even if you just had one of the greens, you could do first and second generation and then black. So onto the washi tape now. Now there are various ways of doing this. I just tear myself some and I'm actually just going to put it on the corner and across. Now it might be you want to measure so that they're equal. I'm afraid I just do it by eye. This is a handcrafted card. And I just find the best way for me. But you know what, ladies and gents, you will find your own ways of doing this. If you want to measure, and we're all different, if you need to measure exactly so it's perfectly equal, by all means you do that. As I say, we're all different. Now, I find just turning a little flap over helps it stick and makes it nice and neat look. Now, I know that's not quite even, but I don't mind at all. This is a handcrafted design. So, the same at the bottom. Going to come across here. And this one across here. I'm just going to take that one, there we go, turn it over and just cut. I mean, as I say, this would make a beautiful panel. You could make a frame. You could, now some of you I know would be keeping these. Like I say, imagine a frame all the way around your card design. I think that will be stunning. You know what? That one is going to annoy me. And I know I told you it wouldn't, but I'm being honest here. I could carry on, but it will annoy me because it is just not quite the right shape. And I know you're looking at me telling me, Jo, no. So we're going to make it, let's make it properly. So let's try and make it more even on this side. Yes, that's better, isn't it? Yep. You're right, thank you. You see, it's a good job I do listen to you. Oh, it's stuck to my thumb now. Come on. Have you ever done that when you can't get something to come off and go in the bin? The red liner tape, I find that does that. Don't worry, we'll edit that bit out. That looks better, doesn't it? That's more even. Now, you could leave your floral like that, but I just wanted to add a little bit more colour for a little bit more depth. So, the zig markers, the clean colour pens. And I know you're going to ask what colours I've gone for. So, I've gone for, let's put them in order. So we've got 41 light green, 43 olive green, 49 green shadow, and 53 yellow green. And all I'm going to do, and these pens colour beautifully over the top of, no matter how, it seems how much ink, water you've put on, these are just so beautiful. And I just literally looked in my box, looked for what greens I'd got. Now I found this light green doesn't show up that well, so I tend to put a second coat of that on. And this is a lovely dark green. Might just colour this. Now it might be you want to colour them just in one colour. As I say, I was looking at going off the colours in the washi tape. And you know, it is amazing where we find our inspiration. You know, you can find it in so many different places. when I'm walking Eric, I just love looking at different shapes, you know, in nature. Now remember, if you've only got a couple of greens and you want to almost make another green, pick some of one green up. And it'll just give you another tone look. That's a little tip. Sometimes when my pens start to run out, say if it's a light blue, I pick up a little bit of a darker blue on it, and it just gives it a bit more longevity. There we go. Now, as you know, I tend to take the lids off all of them and then at the end just put them all back on. But look at that, I just think it's beautiful. Now, if you notice, we've almost got some silver, beautiful gilding. So I've got my silver, my metallic pen, my Signo pen. And I just thought again to go off. You see, it's amazing how all the ideas are there already. And all I'm going to do is where Tracy's drawn these lines, going to add some lines, look. Where she's drawn the dots, just go over some of the dots. Just to bring, and down here, just going to by hand, look, add a couple. So it almost looks like there's extra little grasses at the bottom. I don't want to overdo it, but just to bring that silver in. And I just think that looks so pretty. And also, don't forget, you've got that mica in the background. Look, you can really see the mica there. I mean, I think this, like I say, you could make a full frame, but I was a bit stingy, to be honest. I thought, I don't want to use so much on my frame. I just want the corners. I'm going to add some white Posca now. Now, again, give it a good shake. And remember, just tap that area there and direct where you want it. Hold it quite close, look. Now, it might be you want some stickles. I didn't want to add glitter to this. I like the grungy background. And I think I've got enough sparkle with the Mica Minerals. And we'll wipe that up. And then just needs a sentiment. And I've got one ready. I've gone for Live and Learn. Because you know me, it takes me so long to choose. I thought I'd have one ready. Now, see, do I like it up there? I was going to put it down here. But, no, I do like it down here. Just across there. And that's all there is to it. Now, I think you could batch card make a lot of these. So remember, this is an A6. And here I've just matted and laid, just to show you. That would look lovely in a frame. Say you've just decorated your bedroom and you want to make some pieces of art. This, as a frame, I think that would be beautiful. And we've got so many different florals that would work well. So as always, thanks for popping in. I do hope your Monday's going well. I've had a lovely day and a lovely play. And look, I know you're going to ask, look how that tag is drying. Look at this bit here. Almost looks a bit like a map. See, I could ask you, couldn't I, what can you see in the ink blot? I can definitely see a map here. So when that's dry, I'm going to stamp that up ready for Tag Tuesday tomorrow. Do check out our socials, our Lavinia For You site and our Reach Out with Lavinia. It's lovely because you can share your work and it's so nice. It's such a lovely, friendly community. So enjoy your evening. It's raining here, so I'm afraid Eric's going to have to wait for his walk. Just wait till it stops raining a bit. Maybe I'll have a brew while I'm waiting. So see you again tomorrow. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.